everyone
Yes.
so far.
And
So
we only now,
right.
out of the 200 plus people who are taken to hospital, we only now have about, not about, exactly 36
who are
still in hospital. Yeah.
So when is the last day or time that a hostage was freed from this attack? Since Saturday?
The third day, that is
Monday.
Monday. I think
What,
that's the
at
last
what time?
At about 6 p.m.
At about 6 p.m.
Yes, it's actually an interesting thing, if I may tell you. This is a gentleman who is an employee of Nakumat. In the process of the fight and the exchange of fire, he got into a bar. When this fellow got into a bar, for these days he got held up, and he said he got too hungry and decided to help himself to the bar. Said he drank himself silly and just like died off, you know. In the exchange of a bomb, he woke up and came running, not knowing the risks he subjected himself to.
Yeah.
So we almost actually shot him, but when we got hold of him, they came and say, this is ours. So when he comes and tell his story later, Hussein, unbelievable. The whole thing has been so dramatic. Kenyans have been telling us what to do. Others are saying, I have a beehive, I can give you these bees, unleash it into these terrorists. Others are saying, we have some gas, put it there. So we are dealing with a very, very interesting scenario.
Right.
But under all that, all said and done, and with the support of a lot of Kenyans rallying us behind, our security officers did a good job.
Yeah, in the circumstances, that we don't doubt that at all.
Yes, yes.
So I remember on Monday when you did a press conference, you said there is an insignificant number of hostages in the building. First of all, why did you have to say that? What did you mean when you said insignificant?
That is a very sad thing. I was very pained to learn that, because life is so precious. I was trying to imply that the numbers are so little, you know. I did not imply that the life is not important. That Hussein was taken out of context. It has created a lot of pain to the families, to myself, and to us as a government. It is something that we did not want to imply in any way that life is insignificant. Mm-hmm. You have seen the efforts we put as government to save life. You see what we did the other day in the Kisii when the school children crashed. You know, we've been going flat out to make sure that the lives of Kenyans are safe. We are working very hard to make sure that the lives we are losing through road accident is coming to an end, and we are doing everything possible to make sure that the lives of our people are protected. And for that to come, that I inadvertently said that life is not important is a completely an unfortunate situation that I absolutely did not mean it. So please let that be very clear that that's really not what I meant. I wanted to say the number is so little, if any, of the hostages is still the position we hold. And we've gone flat out, including risking our lives to save the lives of fellow Kenyans. So that's not really what I meant.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah, so
fair enough.
I ask Kenyans to bear with me on that.
Fair enough. At that point, when you were saying that, then that meant there were hostages inside. And this operation, Monday, Tuesday, it's until Wednesday that this operation was, in fact, I'll come to that. You said you took full control of the building as from Monday. But it kept taking long, and what the government was saying is that they needed time because of hostages inside. When you made that statement, it was clear then that there were hostages inside. You know, and you're saying it's Monday, that was the last day you had a hostage.
As this situation unfold and move, it is not static. And the information we get keep on changing. Remember I told you earlier on, somebody say we are locked up in a cold room in 4th floor. We are 20 of us. For us, when we get that, we don't disregard. We consider a possibility. But when we got there and discovered that it was a hoax, then the position of information we give keep changing. So please don't take like the situation is so static that when we say this today, it will run that way. Mm-hmm. As we move forward and as the scenario unfolds and events come about, things are bound to change. So that flexibility and change is the reality that we are updating you up to the minute. With the changes that come with it, we ask you to understand. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so that means, okay, then now do you believe there were hostages inside until Wednesday? And do you believe there's a possibility of finding them under the rubble?
We think and hope that there are no hostages. And when I say that, I mean when the rebels is finally removed and anything come out, we don't rule it out. But we believe we have rescued so many people at the initial stage of the process, including the communication we are having with them, to the extent that we really think hostages are not there. And if you look at the action of these terrorists, it's a very sad thing. These were people who are just bound to kill. They were not trying to hold anybody to defend themselves. They were just there to kill. The killing was, just spraying fire on people. It's not like people who wanted to hold some people hostage and negotiate.
That came from the government, isn't it?
Yes, that is what we saw. When you saw the footage of the CCTV, these people are just spraying people bullets and killing people.
That they were not really willing to hold people.
No.
But the issue of hostages came from the government, isn't it?
Sorry?
The issue of hostages came from the government.
Yes, correct. That position came from us at that time. But when you look at the action of the terrorists, they're just killing people. So we thought and we felt they would want to use hostages to bargain their way out. But that seems not to be the case. And this is the position I say. The situation keeps changing as it unfolds.
Then bear with me, and I'll ask you to ask you this question. Then when did you know that this was not what they wanted to hold hostages? When did you know as a government or the security agencies?
It is their action that makes us think like that.
When? At what point? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Sunday? We don't want to put a timeline to that because as we analyze the situation and look at the behavior of the activities and even see the trend of events, our analysis and judgment and decision making change. But as we progress from, the first day we will naturally say they're hostages. But when also these people were cornered and running between one floor to the other and their movement, they were not moving with the people. So that is at that juncture that we notice, which is like
when
the third day, Monday, that
they are no hostages.
We think they are no hostages.
So
and we said that.
So that was in the situation as from Monday. But
yes.
At what then stopped you from going inside and getting them? Because there was still time from
Getting
Monday.
Who?
The attackers. And I remember on Monday you said that they are in some store somewhere. That you have in control of these attackers.
When you say you go inside and get them, that is a very dangerous thing. These are people who are properly armed. And therefore it's not a matter of walking in and getting them. It is a matter of fighting them. And that is what we did. Yes.
So that is why it took time.
So, and as we say, these people seem to know the building. And therefore their movement also was tricky. When we got drawings on, I think towards the end of Monday of the building and see the amount of corners and all that, as much as it enlightened us, we also discovered why it was difficult to get these terrorists, because they also seem to know each corner of the building.
Each corner of the building. I really want to, I bear with you, and I know this is a very difficult situation for the country and for the security agencies.
It is my duty to share with the Kenyans what really they need to know,
so
and to let them know everything.
Do you believe there were hostages there as from Monday? And do you believe that there will be recovering of any hostage or anybody from the rubble?
Hussein, and I know there are many security things we can discuss here. I think really the issue of hostages, we have said it. We think that there are no hostages. However, when the rebels is finally removed and done and say some dead bodies are found, it should not be completely be meant to say that we misled the country. We said we did everything we could to make sure there are no hostages. And we hope and believe they are not there. But should there be a few, it's unfortunate. But we did everything we could. And that is actually why the process took very long. Because of wanting to make sure that we don't lose any further lives of Kenyans in the process, we had to handle the situation so carefully and so slowly and so gradually, so that if there were any hostages, we don't lose them. So please, that is the position with the hostages.
Another issue was the fire that we saw in the building, or from the building, or even not from the building, because you said that it was lit by the terrorists or the attackers, and those were mattresses from the Nakumatt building. And later we saw clearly that the fire was not even at the Westgate Mall.
No.
It was behind.
No.
At a generator.
The original fire emanated from the Nakumatt mattresses area. Our position, which we gave and we believe is true, the hostages, no, the terrorists set the place on fire. The smoke was so much in the building we had to take a tactical retreat. Just behind the building, there is a store that was hosting gas tanks and some other stuff. It also caught fire in the process. That is the building just next. It actually touches Nakumatt, and so the original black smoke that you are seeing was coming out from the Nakumatt store. But there is also another store that burned that had gas behind the building.
No, I mean, what was the exit point of this smoke? Because we didn't see it coming in from the Westgate Mall, but behind it.
No, actually, we broke the windows ourselves. Our people shot to create a vent for the smoke to get out. That's the correct position.
Right. At this point, first of all, let's look at our news poll again. We had asked you from our news poll, are you satisfied with the government's handling of the Westgate terror attack crisis? Currently, live as we go, you can see you're laughing yourself. 23% are saying yes, and an overwhelming 77% are saying no. Well, let's go on. Some have said that the minister, or even before I get to that, sources have already said, it's already in so many news agencies, that you were among the ministers that were given prior information that there could be an impending attack. Were you given such information by the intelligence?
Which intelligence?
Yes.
We said Hussein, and we stand by that. We do not discuss intelligence information in public.
Isn't it in public that you were given already information?
You think so? That is not correct.
So you're not given any information?
No. We said intelligence information is not something to be discussed in public. That is the position with regard to that. And I say we must bear with that because we cannot go discussing our intelligence in public. It is a matter of the well-being of this country. And for the good of this country, there's some information that we must left it to be dealt with at appropriate level. Mm-hmm. Intelligence information across the world is really treated as such and must be dealt with the necessary mechanism, but not in public. So Hussein, for that I'm categorical that I am not ready to discuss that because it's not appropriate.
And you will not confirm or deny that there was intelligence on this?
We would not like to touch anything on intelligence on this.
Don't you think it puts you at a disadvantaged point, the way Kenyans look at you, or maybe the security in Kenya? Is it such a big, of course, again, bear with me, I'm just a layman.
Yeah. Feel free.
I'm not in the security industry or field, but don't you think Kenyans would like to know whether their intelligence was aware? Because this is about the security of the nation.
I want to say categorically that our security agencies are in control of the security of the country. And I want Kenyans to take comfort in what I'm saying, that their country and their security agencies are protecting their country, and the country is safe. That I can say without blinking. With the issue of intelligence, and whether leaked or not, there is a mechanism to deal with that. In every system, you may find there are traitors. When you think of the WikiLeaks, these were people who are giving government information to the public. Mm-hmm. But you also notice the countries involved, and even their media, was protecting the country. So the issue of protecting our intelligence is both my responsibility and your responsibility as the media. But I think of critical importance to Kenya, in my opinion, is whether the country is properly protected.
Is it?
The answer is yes. The country is properly protected. We have foiled several terror terrorism is a big problem worldwide. This is a very unfortunate situation. We have big lesson learned.
Yeah.
You will see a lot of action, which I will share with Kenyans, actions we intend to take.
Okay. I agree. There was a build-up to this attack. And like you said, that of course, even the president said that terrorism is global. It doesn't choose, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's only Kenya that has been hit by terrorists. But it happened, such cases have been, they've been increasing in Kenya, not of this magnitude, but we've seen in Northeastern, in Garissa, we saw about when people went into a church and killed worshippers. We've seen so many terror attacks in this country before. First and foremost, how many people have been convicted out of this? Because what we hear from the government is that investigations are going on. How many people have been convicted out of terrorism related cases in Kenya?
If you go to a number of prisons, I may not be able to give you the exact figures, but we have a number of people who are convicted or are being held and are waiting some further happening, because it's a very terrorism is a very complicated thing, and therefore it requires a long, tedious process that involves the countries, the international community, and all that. But I can tell you, we have in our prisons and in our cells a number of people and useful leads that we share with the international community of some terrorists who are a threat to the world. And therefore, I know that our action on terrorism has been very, very good. When we went to Somalia, which is something we did as a country for strategic reasons to protect our country, the Al-Shabaab group were very clear that they will revenge. Because we completely weakened them, they turned into throwing criminals and terrorists and all that. But I can tell you, if we did not do that, we will be living in a less safe country. And going forward, lesson learned from even our going to Somalia and what we've been seeing in northern Kenya, and more so for this particular one, will only strengthen our security system. And a lot will happen towards that, and we'll share with you how we are going to do that. I
have to move fast now because of time, but we've seen so many assurances from the security sector. With all due respect to you, we know you're a new cabinet secretary. But we've seen so many assurances, and one of the things people have been talking about is corruption. Because people move from point to point, and these points are guarded. Arms are smuggled into this country from point to point, and we have security posts to take care of this, but still, it does not happen. Now, currently, we know a police constable earns a minimum of 19,000 shillings, between 19 to 20,000 shillings, unless I'm wrong. I know there was an increment supposed to be given to the police officers between 2010 to 2012, three-phase of 84%. At the end of the day, they were given 42%. 42% is still waiting. When a police constable is paid between 19 to 20,000 shillings and is supposed to put his or her life on the line, how do you assure Kenyans in a country that has seen corruption for so long, how do you assure Kenyans that they cannot take a bribe for up to 1 million at a go and allow someone and some weapons to pass through?
Hussein, we, as a country, we need to do a soul search as a people. Corruption is a very serious problem to this country and a big threat to security. The government is very clear that we are willing to fight this corruption to make sure that we become a better society. But corruption is fueled by a number of factors. And this security, the attack we have had, is probably a build-up of very many decisions and actions that we've not taken. If, for example, you take an officer taking a bribe to allow a criminal to come into the country, you say there is a minister of government who approves citizenship to undeserving people. And we have procurement officers in the system who will procure the wrong equipment to protect or to get their commission. You have businessmen who are messing up that system in their own personal interest. Everybody is culpable. And therefore, to zero on one particular, say, a police because of their salary, it's not the salary.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily. And I think it's important to say that I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm not saying all police officers are corrupt, but we know corruption has been there.
So going forward as a government, we are not going to have the businessmen held the country at ransom because they want to make their money. We had a plan of modernizing the police.
Reforms.
The police reform.
Yeah,
there was also modernization and equipment and all that.
Okay.
Possibly because of the many various factors that come into play. That has not taken place. I want to categorically assure Kenyans that we are going to have our procurement system move.
How soon? Very fast because of time, because Kenyans want to feel safe.
You know, we told Kenyans about 6 years ago that we are going to have the CCTVs in the city and all that. That procurement process has not completed for all that period because of a cat and mouse game. Yeah. I'm telling Kenyans, in a month's time, that tender will be awarded, and take me on that. I'm telling Kenyans, the companies that will continue to hold our systems at ransom, we are going to blacklist them. The officers who are taking bribes or who themselves are suppliers of government, we are going to get them out. I think this terrorist attack has given us so much energy and love for our country that things cannot continue to go the way they have been going. And as your man in charge of security, you will take me on some of these security actions. We know that for the last few years, we've been talking about police equipment, fire bulletproof T-shirts, all those. Yeah. Hussein, I'm giving you a period of 3 months, all those things will come into play.
I really wish we had time, because there is problems already we've seen between the National Police Service Commission and the Inspector General of Police. And
it is again another. It is again another systemic problem.
You're keen on police reforms. We haven't really seen that, because there's already problems between the two, Police Service
Look
Commission
at this.
and IGP.
When we take laws to our parliament and it take a political partisan interest, where are we putting the country? I think there are some things where all of us must say, this is Kenya. It is not a political party. It is not a tribe. It is not an individual. It is Kenya. So when we push laws to go to be discussed, we want some, our legislators, and I'm not really attacking them, it's just that we are saying some officers who are taking bribe. So we also want, when some laws are discussed, they are not discussed from the party angle. They are seen from the country.
That means you have a problem with the specific law?
Of course, when we had the allegedly Kimayo Kavuludi issue,
yes,
it wants to take an angle of partisan interest. But we are saying we must, as Kenyan, start to rise above personal, partisan, and party interest and say, this is our country. You see, even the way you as a media cover some things, you also need to recognize that this is your country.
We do, although we also have a responsibility to tell Kenyans the truth.
Yes.
We do know we're Kenyans.
Yes. When you look at the way we are covering the Westgate mall attack, and the way the 9/11 was covered by the owners, it's very, very different. But the Americans stood and say, this is America. I believe
the media was getting information only from the government.
Sorry?
At that time.
Sorry?
I believe the Kenyan media was getting information from the government. But anyway,
they're also relying on some bloggers who are also not patriotic enough.
I'm not here really to speak.
I want us to become patriotic and to say there are some things that really Kenya is our country. And I think people demonstrate that. When people came and say, give their money, give their blood, give everything, and even you supported on that. I'm not really saying that you've not been, but I'm saying we must recognize that there are some situations where Kenya stands out. And I think when we saw our political leaders coming together on that, that was a very positive thing. That was really Kenyan.
Right.
When you saw the people saving lives, that is Kenya.
Two things.
And I think going forward, even those corrupt people in the system must be removed because they are not supporting Kenya.
Okay. The increment we're talking about that was to be given to police was between 2009 until 2012, which was supposed to be the deadline. They still say 42% out of the 84% agreed has not been given to them. Have you done anything about it?
Hussein, we have the welfare of the police was to be done in two
phases.
Not three phases, in two approaches. The main salary increment and the allowances. Now we have finished the salary increment. We are now dealing with the allowances. one part of the allowances that we want to do in 2 phases will be done in this financial year. It is again something I know I'm saying in front of cameras, it is factual. So our police will get their next phase of the allowances this financial year.
Because of time, we'll have to stop it at that, but I'll not leave you without asking this question that many have asked. Do you believe you're the right man for this job? And some have said Ole Lenku should step aside. What do you have to say about that?
I have seen that in the social media, the Twitter. I have also gotten a lot of encouragements and kudos from very many Kenyans. My word to Kenyans is, time will tell. I have no doubt, and I'm very clear about it, that our security will get to a level it's never been before.
Well, thank you very much. Cabinet Secretary Ole Lenku, thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you.
And of course, don't get us wrong again. We know and we say there are so many heroes in this, including the security agencies who put their lives on the line. We are not saying they didn't do their job, but questions have to be raised. But thank you very much.
You have a duty to do your work.
Thank you very much for making time for us.
Okay.
Well, again, I'll go back to a news poll question. We are asking you tonight, are you satisfied with the government's handling of the Westgate terror attack? Do you feel things should have been handled differently? 25% saying yes, and majority of them, 75%